welcome to episode 11 of insideX. We're back for another week, and racing has started in Ontario. So, as well as another couple provinces are going to kick off this week. I know Quebec is firing up, as well as Manitoba, and hoping to get all provinces on board. Before we get to what's on the show today, I want to give a huge shout out to Data Video. Got all the goods here in the studio, making sure we can get this live feed out to you guys. Parts Canada and Cardo Systems had a huge announcement this week. I want to give a huge congrats to Parts Canada, bringing Cardo Systems, the in-ear headset that you can communicate with your spotter, your mechanic. Those guys have partnered up, and now you can get all Cardo Systems through Parts Canada. Make sure you check those guys out. Rockstar Energy, obviously, you hit up 7-Eleven, you get those new XDs, get those BCAs into you if you're training, working out hard, getting ready for Go For Dunes round one. Royal Distributing, Yamaha, Motor Canada, those two, check those guys out. Obviously, Royal Distributing, pumping out a lot of good stuff out there. You get your parts, get your gear, get all that stuff ready for round one as well. And then Yamaha, make sure you check out those bikes. Lots of bikes going off the shelf. Today, we got a great show. We're going to go Rockstar Energy recap is actually going to my hometown, Sarnia, Ontario. We're going to recap that. A really cool track design there, and always good clay-style dirt, good racing there, lots of ruts. Parts Canada prediction this week. We got more 250 riders. We got a new one on board this week, just announced last week. We'll talk about him. Insider trading. We're going to talk about the racing coming back. We're going to get Gauldy's opinion on what we need to do for these nationals going forward in other provinces to resume racing. The guest rider this week will be Quinn Amyotte, the young privateer KTM rider. Had a great showing last year, ended up with career number 21. We'll talk to him. And FXR brand manager Andy White. We're going to get him on the show. And I know a lot of people out there wearing FXRs. Most of the time, if you got a sponsorship through FXR, it came across Andy White's desk. We're going to talk to him. All in this episode of insideX. Stay tuned. After these commercials, we'll be right back.
Before the lights, before the cameras, before the crowd roar, before the gate drops, before the first turn, before the finish line, the podium, and the champagne. It's just me and my gear.
And we're back. Another insider trading here. I'm bringing in my co-host Ryan Gauld, who just had an awesome weekend. I actually got to join this awesome weekend. We went to the Go For Dunes facility and had the first race in Canada of the year 2020. Who would have thought mid-June, Gauldy, that we're going to be racing? Let us know, what are your thoughts on the first weekend back?
Well, from my end, everything was amazing. We had not a record turnout for one of the races that I've run, but pretty darn close. 558 entries, which was 314 individual riders. So it was a huge turnout, and great group of staff, flaggers, medics, everything. Like it, honestly, it couldn't have ran any smoother. A couple little glitches with some computer stuff in the trailer, but outside the trailer, when the gates drop on the track and all that stuff, I don't think it couldn't have gone any smoother. I'm super proud of being able to pull this off. There's a bit of work, obviously, put in behind closed doors there that we've talked about on the show, but it's Wednesday right now, man, and I'm still feeling a little woozy and tired from it all. It was a lot of work for sure, and I'm super proud of it. You know, I mean, it's obviously cool to be the first and only race going in Canada. I wish our other regions were getting the same support that we are here in Ontario, and the same sort of wording and the phases that are opening up under the pandemic. Unfortunately, it's not that way. Unfortunately enough for us, we have it, and between myself, my ammo staff, the Go For Dunes staff, and some help from the guys over at the Walton crew, and actually your dad helped out, and Scott Tokley was a big hand as well with a couple little bit of a jitter thing that we had with the transponder wire, but we pulled it off, and it was awesome. I'm super pumped and proud of it for sure. So it feels great to be a part of it, and man, I'll tell you, it felt great to watch some racing. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, I got to say, behind the scenes, and a lot of people would know this, obviously behind the scenes, that you did a lot of work getting up to that point that, trying to help other regions as well as Ontario to get back going, and many practice tracks across the country. So for you to get it going first was kind of a good thing for you. You did so much work to get there. But I got to say, it was, I did see you're not into your mid-season form. Usually we're about 7 rounds into this year. This was the first one for you to get going. So yeah, you're going to be tired this week and getting things rolling into the future for, it was a good stepping stone for the Triple Crown to see what it's going to be like. Obviously, round 1 is going to be at Gopher Dunes, and just the new procedures going on. Mm-hmm. Obviously, you have a lot of insight on that, and it's going to help us with the Triple Crown, like a lot of online stuff and touchless things going on. What is the biggest thing you took from it? And a lot of people were very good at keeping space and having social distances. What is it going to look like for the Triple Crown? Do you think it's going to be something similar to that?
Well, it's funny. We run these pro nationals. I've been a part of everything. It's so hard to get our community to follow rules. I think we should have just made up COVID years ago, because the people really, really followed all the rules that we put in place. And some of them were probably a bit silly with it, considering we're out in the field and, the wind's blowing. Like, how could this happen? How could you get COVID? All that kind of stuff. But, the parking, we were all 30 feet apart. We practiced our social distancing. People wore masks if they wanted to. There was masks all down the gates on the starting line, because obviously everybody's close there. But, I was really proud of the community really following rules. Like I said, sometimes we get a lot of ego in the way with our sport. And, those guys are just idiots. They just want our money, or, kind of that kind of stuff going on. And I never got any of that this weekend. And, everybody followed the rules. We were really appreciative of what we did. And the best part that I could take from it is that, once we're in a tough time, the community does really rally and make it easier. Like, I was stressed, and I'm not going to lie. Like, going into the event, I'm talking big game. We got this. Yeah, no problem. Like, I was definitely losing hair, and I'm running out. Like, I not got a lot left. And come Sunday morning, I started having some more little issues with computers, and there's people all over the place. And I'm like, oh, God, the bylaw guy is going to come on. And he was there all 3 days, the bylaw officer that gets elected to that area, I guess, or whatever it is. His name's Eric. Absolute beauty. Came out, supported everything. He was so ecstatic at how proactive we were to be a part of the phase 1 under the motorcycle racing and everything like that. So we've got a cookie cutter right now. We've got a cardboard cutout for our Rockstar Triple Crown, and we might as well just do what we did this weekend, because it worked to a T. Everybody's stoked. We had tons of racers out there, tons of families. We now throw in the pro aspect of it all, and we can still do the same thing. And I think we're good to go. Like I said, we just did this, so why can't we do it all around Canada and in the rest of the regions and everything like that, since it went so well?
Yeah, and I agree. And to touch on people getting upset about, the rules and stuff like that, you and I had a conversation before. I actually, my girls wanted to go and the wifey wanted to go, and you're like, no, absolutely not. It's not part of the thing. I didn't have a rider there. They weren't part of a crew, so they stayed at home. I actually went and helped my brother Cole as part of his crew and signed in under him, and as well as an ammo and MRC staff. So they stayed at home. They wanted to go. They wanted to come check out some racing, but with the new rules, it's going to be under a certain crew, and you can only have so many per crew. So I stuck to those rules, and
100%.
And I could have pulled out the MRC card. I could have pulled out the Jetworks card, but I didn't, because I was sticking to the rules of what is laid out for COVID, and I want everybody to understand that. That's how we're going to keep this racing going.
And another thing I can go on, people might think that, this was a money grab. We were taking advantage of that. I shut down online sign-in way before it needed to be. I made sure there was only 5 people in a car. I had my mother working the gate out there, making sure, you know what I mean? Like, so we did our part for this. It wasn't just a whole bunch of, hey, let's make some money and get away with this and be cool and we, screw COVID and take advantage, blah, blah, blah. Like, we did our job. And, like, I appreciate you understanding that and doing what you did, Excel, and not taking advantage of our situation and stuff. And everybody was like that. It was great that way. And it, like you just said, 100%, we have to do that for the Nationals coming up. And we're going to be good. If we do it and we follow the rules, we're going to be good. We just proved it.
Yeah, and just to touch on the racing, because we got to jump to a quick commercial here. The pro class, 37 entries, was awesome to watch. Dylan Wright was on another level. He was flying out there. Looked so strong on that 450, and I feel like it's going to be a great battle in that top of the 450 class. Tim Tremblay, another guy I want to talk about. How fast was Tim out there, Ryan?
I felt like he was on a sled. He looked amazing out there. He's a 33-year-old. I talked to Tim a bunch. Like, awesome to see. And then your brother Cole finishing off the podium there. And shout out to Dylan. Let's just hope you get some numbers, buddy, for the Triple Crown races.
Yeah, I agree. I talked to him about that. Another shout out. Sam Gaynor rode awesome. Got a 4.44 on the whole. Yeah. So he was crushing it there. But it was great racing. Great to be back. We're gonna jump to a quick commercial. We'll be back with a Rockstar Energy recap.
All right, Kyle, it's time for that Rockstar Energy recap. The Clash main event here for Sarnia, Ontario, inside the Progressive Auto Center. And, of course, the 250Fs and the 450s going at it. Dylan Wright actually gets a pretty good jump, but once again, Matt Gerke, he is going real good. He likes this Clash atmosphere.
Yeah, he's good in the Clash. He's just always getting good starts in there. Just didn't carry over to the main events, in the first 3 rounds. Thompson obviously jumping up there, and you see Tyler Medaglia on that 250. Honestly, besides the start, I would say this track favored the 250, how tight and tacky the dirt was.
And then look at this. Gerke makes a big mistake all over the place. He loses the lead to Thompson. Thompson makes a mistake, and Medag just sweeps by them both there, just handing it off to him there. So great race. And again, it's cool to see the Clash kind of do the 250, 450 thing. It kind of makes it a little different. Then look at Thompson, the wily van. Oh! And then Gerke says, "What up with the shoulder?"
Yeah, look at that. Moffenbauer jumping in the picture as well as Dylan Wright just in the background there. So these guys got really tight, and Thompson drops all the way back to 5th from 1st. So there you go.
That was a crazy lap right there for Cole Thompson. Seriously, 1st to 5th.
Yeah, so there he starts to do work. He gets back by Moff, then Dylan Wright, and then he's like, oh, gets very sketchy, uncharacteristic of there. And then Tyler gets sketchy.
Wow, I don't actually remember a lot of this action from last year watching it. We kind of get to take a look back a little slower when we're doing it here. And yeah, there was some crazy legs off all over the place. And look at this. Now Thompson back up to 3rd. And he's so wily in there. You make a mistake, you lose 4 spots. Other guys make mistakes, you gain 2 spots in a matter of seconds. Arena Cross can switch so fast.
Yeah, and I like that corner there right after those whoops. It seems like a good passing line, shut the door on him. But Gerke was the man here, and he's going to get through these last rhythm section and take the checkers and get the win for that Monster Energy Kawasaki.
Yeah, that would be his second Clash win there, the very first one out in Abbotsford and this one here. So he was the Clash man there at the midpoint of this season.
Yeah, we're going to jump to the 250 class, which we've seen a couple highlighted riders there. Obviously, Tyler Medaglia and Dylan Wright doing well in that Clash. And we're going to jump over to the 250.
All right, Kyle, like you said, 250 pro main event time right here. Dylan Wright kind of getting a little bit of control of the series, but so many other riders can have a chance. But look at this, little bit of itchy trigger fingers going on right there.
Yeah, look at Tanner Ward jumping out. Good start for him. And another great start for Brad Nott. He's a good indoor rider, very confident in there, good in the whoops, good starter.
And there, Tyler Medaglia laying on the ground. And look, his bar is actually stuck. His bar is actually stuck in the soil there. He can barely get it. Look at the top of the screen. He's still down right now. He was able to get going. I believe he didn't quite get lapped. He might have got lapped. But anyway, Nada makes a mistake. And there goes Dylan Wright on his way through.
Yeah, so Dylan Wright with those red plates on that Honda, he carried those things pretty much the whole season. And looking strong again at Sarnia Arena Cross there. But yeah, Brad Nott, man, what a surprise rider coming into the series last year. And obviously we know his skills indoors. But look at Tanner Ward taking advantage of a little mistake.
Yeah, Nott opens up the door there, hitting that deep rut coming out of that final turn, or sorry, onto the start straight turn, hitting a little too hard here, and then open up the door. Look at Renzem. Renzem is using this outside line, but then he kind of opens it up for Jairi Mitchell, but Mitchell gets a little, not enough front brake on that one
and
there, and
he
high sides. Yeah, and then Renzem makes a pass. I think Jairi hit Renzem's rear wheel and it helped him tuck inside there. And then right here, this battle was amazing But I feel like Rensland could have been a little bit more aggressive here as he just kind of kept dogging Tanner Ward this entire time. And we're going to see him try to make some stabs. But I feel like he was being a little bit too friendly, Kyle.
Yeah, and it looks like he's always trying to go outside instead of diving in and trying to put a wheel in. He's trying to go around the outside of Tanner and use the wider line. You see there, he's taking a wide line. He comes into this corner, and he's not really dive bombing him just to give him a show like, hey, I'm here. I'm going to take this line and shut this door.
And here, obviously, he's able to kind of go underneath that main rut. And right here, it looks like he's got the pass made, no problem at all. And I don't know, I guess they're buddies. Maybe they're gamers on the PS3 or something out there, because that he should have put him into the Sarnia seats on that one. And but Tanner Ward able to move in there. But Rensland, he would not give up right here. But man, it was cool because Tanner Ward was not at rounds 1 and 2 out west. This would be the first arena cross where we would see him, and he rode amazing.
Yeah, no, this was good. Oh wow, Quinn Amyotte.
That was a close call.
They're buddies too, and we're gonna have Quinn on later in the show. Maybe we'll talk about that. Holy crap! But there you go, Dylan Wright getting the white flag there. He was so good. He got those red plates, and he's on another level. Those guys.
It was all year long. If you let Dylan Wright get up front, he was just able to sort of destroy the field, take all their confidence away from them, and just kind of do his thing up front. And all that stuff we used to talk about him being sort of crazy up front, he lost it in 2019, and it showed every time the gate drop. And here he is taking another win, Kyle.
Yeah, another win, and he kept doing that all year long. Obviously, we talked about the MX Tour. Tanner Ward getting in there, getting second place, and I think Luke Rensland, is it? Got third there? The results will come up here in a second.
Yeah, the results come up right there. So Dylan Wright, Tanner Ward, Rensland, Nada, and Canella, the top 5. So a couple kind of local boys there. Canella and Wardy doing real good for sure. So Dylan Wright on the path. It's time to get into that 450 main event.
And on to the 450s, like you said, and this is the big boys class, and a lot of good racers in this. This is a tight track for a 450, that is for sure.
Oh my God, a 450, 60 plus horsepower out here, and the littlest guy in the field right there using it to his advantage, getting that power to the ground. Dakota Alex, just like Tanner Ward, we didn't see him out west. He comes out to the first round here in the East in Sarnia and gets out front early on here and looking good.
Yeah, and I've seen Dakota ride Supercross, obviously talented indoors, but I didn't know he had the arena cross, which is a little bit of a different breed. It's a very tight finesse setup, and he did so well to get away from these guys early. Obviously, Nicoletti and Thompson right in tow, but Dakota Alex held his own the whole race and just led the way so strong.
Yeah, it was funny coming into Dakota didn't have any numbers. For his bike, they printed the wrong background. They had 250 backgrounds out there, and we're like, hey, we probably could let you go, but it is a rule. You got to have the proper background right there. So anyway, he found somebody to piece it together. I think actually your brother had a set, and then they put a 4 on there, made it work, and he's leading the way. But Phil and Cole, this is something we would see all year long in 2019. These guys would cross paths a lot, and Cole always had that advantage on the indoor tracks, and here's where it would bite Phil Nicoletti. Funny story to that one there. That's Darius Zecca going down on the start gate before this race. He's like, hey, park beside Phil Nicoletti. And he says, hey, man, I'm a real big fan of yours. I'm stoked to be racing you, man. I love you on the Pulp MX show. And then, unfortunately, he loses his footing and then takes Phil out in the main event.
Oh, he's probably sick about it. And, Darius Zecca taking him out. And it looks like a KTM battle out front. Looked like Thompson took a quick look over his shoulder to see where third place was. But, yeah, these KTMs kind of in no man's land. And Thompson just seemed to wear down Alex here and just make a nice little stuff and go on about his business like he normally does in the indoor stuff.
That is what Rensland should have done right there to Tanner Ward in that last main event to grab that spot. Thompson, zero looking to make friends. He's got a good Christmas list. He doesn't need any extras. He makes the pass, aggressive or not. He always gets it done in the indoors, and that is why he's a 2-time Arena Cross champion in the Rockstar Energy Triple Crown Series. So he starts to pull away. There's Alex. Nicoletti's now still back in that third spot after running into his superfan Zecca. But here comes Gerke. He's getting the feeling going. He's starting to feel it late in this main event.
I got to say, I'm impressed with Gerke being able to be as good as he is. He's more of an outdoor rider where he just wicks the throttle and goes. And this is so finesse, tight. These little ruts you can't see on those jumps are very tough. And he did strong there. And look at Thompson. Hometown win again in Sarnia. Dakota Alex second. And I believe Phil here hangs on to that third spot there, Gauldy.
Yeah, Phil Nicoletti will hang on to that third spot there to make sure the Triple Crown points stay nice and tight. But yeah, cool to see Cole win in front of that hometown. Obviously, your family just down the road from this place. And there it is, Thompson, Alex, Nicoletti, Gerke. Clayson, a quiet fifth, didn't get a chance to see him because the race was up. Dario Zecca, super fan, 8th spot. Good job, Dario, picking that bike up after taking out Nicoletti. It was funny. After that, too, he came up and apologized to Nicoletti. He's like, it's okay, man. And then Zach is like, I'm even bigger fan now.
Well, that's pretty cool, Phil. And, man, it kind of ruined the race for him for a little bit, but he was able to hold on there, get that 3rd spot. And obviously, you know, at the end of the day, he was the Triple Crown champ for 2019, so he can't be too mad about that little mishap. Anyways, Gauldy, that's another recap. Next week, we got Barrie, your home track, we'll say. And then we move on to Supercross. We're going to be buzzing through this before you know it. We're going to be at the Dunes, racing for real in 2020. But we're going to take a quick commercial break. We'll be right back.
There's nothing like race time. It's something that's super undescribable. Nothing gives me that same adrenaline rush. It's all or nothing. Your heart starts beating faster.
A lot of nerves.
For me, I still get nervous.
You know, the adrenaline.
You feel focused. Everything else goes away. You're in the moment. I think that's a feeling that we live for. One goal, one vision.
You've got the ride, and we've got the parts to keep you going. Royal Superstores, with massive selections of products no matter what your power sport is. Top brands you've come to trust. Huge selection, amazing prices. Your one-stop shopping destination for the rider in you. Royal Distributing, Canada's power sports leader. Shop online, by phone, or in one of 4 retail locations. Fast coast-to-coast shipping right to your door. Royal Distributing. Eat, sleep, ride.
And we're back with another Parts Canada prediction this week, Gauldy. We actually had a new rider jump on my list from last week. We've seen that Sky Racing signed Ryan Surratt. We've seen him back in 2017. I believe he got an overall at Deschambault in the Mud. You would know a little bit more about that. I know you're the stats guy on this this show, but I want to bring up Ryan Surratt, obviously riding for that Kawasaki Sky Racing. What are your thoughts of him coming on?
I like that grab for Al Dick and the Sky Racing team for sure. We were kind of wondering if they were going to do a second rider. Obviously, the COVID thing there. They've already got Dakota Alex. Surratt, I didn't get a chance to really meet him in that year that he came up to Canada here and race, but obviously legit. Kind of started a bit slow that year, and then everything kind of fell into place. Osby got hurt. Moffenbauer had some bike problems, and then all of a sudden, coming into that final round in Barrie, he was like 5 points out of first place after getting that victory at Deschambault, like you said. So the kid has got skills, and then unfortunately at RJ's, I can't remember if he got hurt or he had bike issues, but he ended up having a real bad day, and Dylan Wright ended up going past him and finishing second when he was part of the MX 101 team behind Sean Moffenbauer that year. So the kid's definitely got some skills. I think that's a great pickup for the Sky Racing team, and that is going to be a powerhouse squad, kind of maybe a little underrated as far as the stats go sort of thing, but man, those guys could be squeaky and slide under the radar and really shine with some of those top guys we're talking about, our Weltons and Wardys and Canellas and Pettis right there. There's no doubt in my mind that both those guys could slide into that 250 championship and be a threat.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's a good, solid team. Although we haven't seen Surratt since he did that run for that championship in 2017. I'm not sure where he's been racing. I'd have to look up, and maybe he's doing some AMA stuff. Dakota Alex, for sure. We've seen him last year. He's going to be a threat, but it would be nice to have both those guys kind of like a 1-2 punch for that Sky Racing and slide under the radar, just like you're speaking of. The next rider I have on my list, and we've seen him this past weekend at Ammo, for the Pro Moto, which was an awesome moto he had. I believe it was actually in the youth class. He got 3rd behind a couple 450s. Hayden Halstead, obviously riding the MX 101 bike as a kind of a B support rider there. He looks strong at Gopher Dunes.
Yeah, that's kind of his home track there for sure. He looked good this week, and he was just out having some fun. He was kind of unsure if he was even going to race this year. He's kind of got a career that he's chosen to get going right there, and just kind of race this weekend for fun. And then once we announced our schedule, he's like, how can I not race these? They're like right down the road from my house and stuff like that, kind of thing. So he's going to be back in the picture, and he's definitely one of those guys, not oodles of talent, just raw heart, puts it on the line kind of thing. They're a good kid, and he'll definitely be in the mix. Not championship contender for sure, but he'll wear guys out. That'll what you see. You'll see that long hair. He's like a old Pert Plus commercial going on there. I gotta get more updated on soap. But he looks like he's got his hair flowing in the wind, and he'll upset those guys, those like factory kind of guys. Like he was dogging guys like Quinn Amyotte at my race this weekend, and who's not a factory rider, but a kid that people are going to be looking at that might get a little bit more hype going in than a Halstead. And he's good. He's just a sort of an experienced racer in a sort of a younger man's body, and I think we'll see some good things out of him if he decides to show up on the gate.
All right, Gauldy, the next guy up on my list, William Crate, a young French guy. We seen him this past weekend at the Ammo Go for Dunes race. I didn't actually get to watch him race. There's a bunch of people battling out there. What are your thoughts of William going into the Triple Crown this year?
I really like this kid. He did a school with me a couple years ago at MP County Line, and I was super impressed with him at the time there. He was riding a 252-stroke Husky. He's now moved on to the 250F. I think there was a bit of a transition phase with him on that bike, because last year he kind of switched, and he kind of had some moments of okayness there. Again, like you, I unfortunately didn't get to watch any races this weekend because of the work side of things, but I know the kid is tough. He's built like a brick poop house, as we like to say. He's a tough kid out there on the bike, and I truly believe that he could get some good finishes in this 250F class. But as I was saying there a while ago, is like, you keep naming these guys, it just keeps going, oh my God. Like, we've got like 20 good named riders right across the country that could possibly get in this 250 mix. So William one weekend could be 20th, and the next weekend he could be 10th. So it's really going to be a toss-up, and just kind of depends on how the starts go and how you get through for those first, say, 4 or 5 laps before everybody sort of gets into their positions. And William's got the tools to do it. It's just going to be up to him to make it, put them together and make it happen.
No, I agree, and I wouldn't be surprised if he ended up, 9th, 10th. I wouldn't be surprised if he was at the butt end of it and 20th. He could be anywhere in there. And I know when we first started this and I started naming these guys, I wouldn't give you any heads up on these guys that I have listed on my giant list here. But you started out, the 8-10 maybe, and then we go 8-14. Now we're 8-20, Gauldy, because there's going to be a ton of talent right in there. Another rider that's going to fit in that realm there, Guillaume St. Cyr. And we've seen him obviously runs really good on the indoor stuff. He tried some Supercross in States, looks good in our Supercross and Arena Cross portion. What are your thoughts on the Triple Crown this year? Obviously heavy on the outdoors.
Well, he's a tiny little fella, that's for sure. He's just a little guy out there on that bike, and he has got indoor skill. I remember me and you sitting watching practices, is a lot of the ones that he was at, and we're like watching him. He's one of the first guys to do any of the tricky rhythms, or one of the top 3 guys to do the tricky rhythms, if there's anything like that out there. He's got that indoor skill. It doesn't seem to transfer as good to that MX side of thing. Maybe he's just one of those guys that really likes riding indoors. I know that he was doing that indoor series in Quebec instead of doing some of the indoor stuff that we had, and as well as the nationals. So he's got indoor skills. He needs to transfer to the MX side of things now that the indoor stuff is kind of taking a bit of a back seat. But the kid's got skill on a bike. It's just going to, again, one of those things, just like a William Crate or any of these other riders we're talking about. You get that start, you hang in there for that first 8 to 10 minutes, and then you find your spot, and if you could tough it out to the end, he could be a guy that finishes in an 11th or a 12th, and then the next time you could see him, he's in 24th. So it's going to be a toss-up with guys like this that have that skill set and toughness, but the cards kind of got to lay in the way. You got your Weltons and your Wards, Canellas, stuff like that, Pettises, that are going to always be fighting to the front, and they can come from 10th to 3rd or 10th to 4th. These other guys, if they don't start in like a 10th or an 11th, they're most likely not going to move from, say, an 18th place start up to those positions. So it's going to really matter on the start and those first few laps for guys like that we're talking about here, if they really want to get those finishes to get the nod and get noticed.
Exactly, and I agree with that. St. Cyr, we've seen him whole shot at Deschambault and have some great rides there. So he does have the skills, obviously a little bit better in the indoors, but that whole pack behind the lead pack, I feel like there's 2 packs here, and it's who can spill into that top 5 pack where the Pettis, the Marco Canellas, those guys are up there, the Wentlands, there's so many guys, man. Yeah. But that's another Parts Canada prediction, Gauldy. I'll throw some more names at you next week and see what you got for me. But we're going to take a quick commercial break. We'll be back with Quinn Amyotte.
Day one, Fox has created products with intention and purpose. So we can inspire your best ride, your fastest race, your greatest adventure. It's how we connect and how we dream. We were made for inspiration and for possibilities. For fast starts and long journeys. For challengers and for champions. Fox was made for you. So get out there and do what you're made for.
And we're back, and I got a guest rider today, Quinn Amyotte, the young KTM rider, just jumped up to the pro ranks last year, and I want to say it might have been a tie for that Rookie of the Year because you had such a good year. Sam Gaynor edged you out, but you did get the Most Improved Rider of the Year award. Good to see you, Quinn. How you been holding up?
Good. I've been doing good. I've been training a lot. I've been working a lot, trying to pay for everything this season. So Sam Gaynor got the Rookie of the Year last year, which was really awesome. He did awesome last year. It was fun. We were in different classes, but it was fun watching him, watching everyone else, seeing where we were standing.
Yeah, no, man. And I have a lot of good memories of you racing last year. Obviously, that big number 60 on your bike. You've traded that in now, and just before the show, we were talking about the 21 is on your bike, and it's looking sharp, man. To be honest with you, I know growing up, I did about 5 to 8 years of pro racing, the Nationals, and a number 21 would have been a dream for me. It must be awesome to have that on your bike now.
Yeah, I love it. It's a sweet number. I think it's a cool number just to begin with, but just to get that low of a number in my rookie year is a pretty cool feeling.
Yeah, I know exactly, and it's usually like filled right up there with the factory guys, a lot of the fast guys in that range, and you were able to get it as a privateer and a rookie. So, man, huge feat. Congrats on that. I know you raced this past weekend, Gopher Dunes. Unreal stat class. You ended up doing pretty well, battling with some of the big guys up there. I seen you battling with Tanner Ward, Hayden Halstead, Jeremy Mackay. What are your feelings going into this year, and obviously round one being at Gopher Dunes?
Yeah, it was a good weekend. I had a ton of fun racing again and being with everyone and just having a gate drop. It felt awesome. But I'm pretty ready for the season. I definitely think I need to work on just motoing a bit more. I've been working a lot lately, so need to get back into just motoing, and then I'm excited for it to be back at Gopher and local races, and I like sand, so I'm excited.
That was actually my next question. I knew you like sand. I hear you the rumbles in the pits that Quinn Amyotte likes the sand, doesn't really prefer the Walton track, although I've seen you ride well there. I just want to rewind it back a little bit, and I remember, I want to say it was 2014, you can correct me if I'm wrong, and I first met you, you were just getting on a Yamaha big bike, and I believe you were only 14 years old, a young buck, maybe younger, and all the way to now. I don't remember, you didn't really have too many standout amateur races compared to some of the other guys you're up against nowadays. But man, you really turned it on when you turned pro. What was your amateur career like?
It was pretty quiet. Definitely pretty quiet. Like you said, I never really did anything that really stood out or anything like that. I was always kind of there, but never did anything that good. But right in my intermediate year, I did a couple good races in the pro, and so I decided that if I'm going to do it, I'm going to really try. And I got hooked up with Bolingbrook CrossFit, and they helped me out a ton. And I actually put the work in and put the effort in, and it showed in my rookie year. So I think that's just what I was missing through my amateur, just putting that work in.
Yeah, and the one thing that I have on my notes that just in quotation, not scared, is one thing that comes to mind. You were at an intermediate, and a lot of people would get a little, and that's why you end up with number 60s. You were not scared to jump out there in the intermediate year and do battle. And there's so many people that just kind of wait for that perfect timing. And you know what? There was no better timing than just to pull the plug and go for it. And you ended up with the number 60, did some good points in the Triple Crown Series in that 2018 year. And then coming to 2019, I feel like people didn't have you on the radar, and all of a sudden now Quinn Amyotte up there battling a Deschambault, I recall, top 5 and putting up some good numbers. So you kind of probably surprised yourself a little bit. Yeah,
for sure. Especially coming into Calgary, I was like, man, I don't even know if I'll be able to get top 15 with how stacked it is and stuff this year. But like you said, I'm not scared. I grew up racing with my brothers and chasing them around on our track and stuff, so I'm not scared to get pushed around and push people around. So I like going for it. I don't get nervous on the line. These are just other guys I'm riding with. So I don't get nervous or anything. I think that helps a lot.
Yeah, the one memory I actually have of one of your brothers is at Walton Transcan. I was actually walking by the starting line, and the Transcan, you got to have a mechanics pass. You got one mechanic per rider. And Ben was bringing out his 450 by himself. So he's obviously your dad, or you guys were at maybe another race before. And I'm like, man, the guy's kicking me out. I'm like, I grabbed Benny's bike and pushed it up the line, give him a pat on the back. He went out and whole shotted that. So I give a little credit to myself for that. But that's the first time I met any of the Amyottes. Obviously, I know all the brothers now well, and your parents, and such a tight-knit family in the moto industry.
Yeah, that's funny. I fully remember that too. I remember Betta about that. He was in like third that whole moto or something like that, battling with like Rosina and stuff.
Yeah,
that's funny.
Yeah, I know he did awesome that moto. I was pumped. I was in the sideline. I was actually walking back to my pits. I was done watching, and then I seen this kid helped him out. I actually went to the mechanics area and just got the rally towel going. He was unreal out there.
That's awesome.
But
yeah.
going from that, your brothers obviously didn't have too much success in the pro ranks. They got to be pretty stoked on what you're doing right now. And like I obviously seen both brothers are always at the races helping you out.
Yeah, both my brothers were like really fast, and they both could have done it, but they just didn't want to put the work in. And they definitely helped me out a lot. Like Anna used to help me out a lot. Mitch helped me out a lot last year, and they're both helping me out a lot this year. They're definitely a tight family, and they help me out as much as they can, and make sure that I have everything I need, and can't thank them enough.
Yeah, no, that's I know them quite well just from doing the races and texting back and forth and stuff like that, man. It's cool to see, and obviously I meet your parents when they come to the local races and stuff like that. And your sister races still as well?
She's not racing anymore, but she used to race. Yeah, she was really good for a while there.
And if anybody
she got hurt and had to stop.
Oh, okay, yeah. And if anybody wants to get to know the Amyottes a little bit more, follow Quinn on YouTube. The vlogs you guys put out with the Pit Bike Nationals and what you guys do, the shenanigans you pull off, man, it's got to be a fun time nonstop. But I'd be a little scared some of the stuff you guys are doing.
Yeah, definitely. It's entertaining here. We got a lot of stuff going on, and we never stop doing stuff. And I think that's why we're so into dirt biking and stuff, because we can't sit there and stay still. So we got to always get going. We're always building jumps. When we were younger, we were always building stuff. I was always their test dummy. So yeah, it's exciting around here.
Yeah, no, your pit bike track's got to be a landmark in Canada as far as pit bike tracks go. I see the East Coast boys trying to copy the over-unders and whatnot. But it's pretty wild. And I don't usually do free ads here, but Pit Bike National usually takes place October.
Yep, somewhere around there. Last year was literally like we didn't even invite anyone. It was like the day before. We were like, yeah, let's have it. And like a couple hundred people showed up, so it was pretty awesome.
Yeah, and I seen one of your brothers doing a backflip and not making that on the pit bike. Crazy stuff goes on with the Amyottes. Man, really appreciate you coming on here, Quinn. Like, can't wait to see you drop the gate there with the boys in Gopher Dunes. I think you're going to have a good year. I hope everything goes well for you. We'll see you at the Gopher Dunes round 1.
Thank you, guys. I really appreciate it.
There's nothing like race time. Something that's super undescribable. Nothing gives me that same adrenaline rush. It's all or nothing. Your heart starts beating faster.
A lot of nerves.
For me, I still get nervous.
You know, the adrenaline.
You feel focused. Everything else goes away. You're in the moment. I think that's the feeling that we live for. One goal, one vision.
Welcome back. I'm now being joined by FXR boss man, brand manager, Andy White. Andy, actually, you've had a lot of roles over the years. It's good to see you, though. How you been holding up?
Doing good, thank you. Staying very, very busy these last 3 months. I work from home, so things haven't really changed except for really no travel, I guess.
Yeah, and that's just talking before the show, and we were just joking about if anybody's getting a deal on FXR, it comes across your desk. You kind of manage all that stuff from the U.S. to Canada. I'm sure the Europe too.
I do. I take care of the Europe program. I have assistants, guys over there helping me as well. So yeah, I basically see every deal that goes out of some warehouse across anywhere in this world.
And now where is the FXR like headquarters out of? It's in Manitoba, correct?
We have two kind of headquarters. We have the official one in Winnipeg, Canada, and now we have a new one in Minneapolis, U.S. for our U.S. program.
Right, and that's fairly close, on a map there. You wouldn't be too far, just over the border. And obviously, being in the U.S., you got a lot of top riders. Actually signed Brock Tickle this year. That must have been a big signing for you, as well as other Supercross riders. A big program in there in the Supercross series.
Definitely. Supercross, I feel, is probably the #1 watched racing in the world. So if we can get eyes on our riders in Supercross, that translates around the world. I hear from our sales guys in Europe that their fans watch Supercross. So it's kind of, if I spend money in one place, I kind of get saturation around the world. So it's not really hard to figure that one out.
Yeah, no, exactly. And you always see it, always seen it out there, and a lot of good posts. And the social media, the FXR does a great job at that. One thing I just want to step back a little bit from when I first met you, Andy, and that was back in the early 2000s. And you were running the Honda Diablo team with Marco Dubé, Doug DeHaan. Actually, my older brother Justin was on there. You helped him out. All the way back, what was that, 03 you started that?
I bought the dealership in 01. We started locally in Quebec in 01, 02, and then 03, 04. We had the Diablo team, like you said, with Marco and Doug DeHaan. We also had Mike Treadwell, Keith Johnson on the program, Ben Milo, Mitch Cook was on it, Heidi Cook. I mean, we had a ton of riders that came through that program. We were really an East Coast 125 program, and then Marco wanted on board, and then Doug, and then we became a 450, 250, I guess, back in the day team. Yeah. So we had a lot of good riders on that program.
Man, no, I remember the bikes with the big, the devil on the side there, the Diablo, the goggles came out at the same time. And it was a pretty cool program. You guys were like the little engine that could, and you kept on adding little parts and pieces to this, and you became something bigger. It probably started so small, and it became something so big, especially in that time where all these big teams were coming up and racing the Canadian Series.
No, exactly. We got kind of lucky. My partner owned the paintball company, Diablo Paintballs. So we had that big 53-foot race truck trailer semi that we could use for certain events. And we were branding the paintballs and the race team. So it all kind of worked together, and I kind of fell into that one. It was kind of a lucky break for me.
Yeah, no, it turned out good, and you guys had some huge success, obviously having some good riders there. But that was the first encounter I had with you, obviously working with Justin. But then later on, you started and took another team kind of from the ground up and built it to what it is today, is the KTM squad. I believe you started that 05, was it, or 06?
05, I had the interview at Christmas 2004, and 2 weeks later signed on and was given the responsibility to run the factory KTM race team in Canada. And basically it was a small company in Canada, brand new. We took it from Barrett Marketing and started from scratch. I believe Gauldy and Mesley were on the team the year before. Yeah. And when I showed up, I came into the race shop and I saw all these used bikes from the year before with Mesley's and Gauldy's numbers on it, and it was kind of funny. So yeah, it started in 04 and I finished at the end of 2014.
Yeah, so I had that written down in my notes. It was like a 10-year span, and you, look, man, like I was saying, you worked with Justin. You also worked with my other brother Cole and got him on, like, when he was on mini bikes. And then later on, you actually signed him to in 2013. He came on to replace or fill in for Colton Fasciotti that year, and he continued on. He's still with KTM today. So you've had a big part in the Thompson family life, as well as many people in that, the KTM, the Honda, the Diablo, like building that KTM brand. You built it up to something that it is today, and it's huge now.
I do feel that, it all started at day one in 2004, building the program. I can tell you in 2005, 6, nobody wanted to ride a KTM. It didn't have a link. Nobody rode KTMs. I had to go through cycle news newspapers trying to find riders that actually had ridden a KTM, because nobody really wanted to ride a motocross kit. An off-road bike, no problem. That was an instant winner, but a motocross bike. And I got really lucky. I found Michael Willard out of Ohio that was a KTM rider. And he kind of really set the whole program in motion by winning championships and connecting me to other riders like Eric Nye and Matt Barnes and Jimmy Nelson. And it just snowballed into Marco Dubé's, into Cornell Nemeth, Mason Phillips, Ryan Lockhart. It was even Johnny Montez. I mean, the names go on and on and on.
Yeah, man, you really made a powerhouse when the bike wasn't good, right? You made do with what you had. And I remember Willard, I think before that, I think he was kind of a KTM rider in the States, and you picked him up, and he did that brand well. You guys working together, he accelerated that brand into that that new era of motorcycle that KTM has when they finally got the linkage and they finally started sorting things out. So you got through the rough years into the good years where the bikes started coming together. Yeah, many championships won, and then obviously leaving KTM, you jumped right onto the FXR, and I feel like you're doing the same thing you did with Diablo, the same thing you did with KTM. FXR wasn't the biggest brand when you started out. It was a smaller brand, and I feel like it's gotten so big. And does it feel similar each time you take on a new thing as you're building these brands up?
It is actually, and I've mentioned this story a few times. When I started at KTM, I really didn't have much budget. There wasn't many people that were interested in the product, and then it just started driving itself. And same with FXR. The snow slide was huge. That was easy. That was no problem. But the moto side, it was very, very small. If you didn't live in Winnipeg, you really didn't know much about FXR. You might have seen it on Brock Hoyer or Marco Dubé or Earl Reimer back in the day. And that was it. So my job was, okay, how am I going to brand FXR to the next level? And I got lucky and connected to the MX 101 guys, and they signed Jimmy Dakotas. So I'm like, okay, Jimmy's American from New England. I got some U.S. Support here. Got a rider from the U.S. Let's put the ball in motion here and try and make it happen. And that's where the whole program started. And to this day, New England is one of our biggest moto areas for retail sales still to this day.
Isn't that crazy? Just one rider just has that much influence, and obviously Jimmy D's quite the personality in the moto world, and we were so fortunate to see him race up here in Canada. Obviously recently retiring, well, maybe giving up motocross for a little bit, but great guy to have as an ambassador back when you started. And man, I gotta say, the FXR gear has come a long ways. I remember the first time it was like a red, blue, green. It was very plain, and now it's one of the most sharpest, eye-catching gear out there. And man, the FXR guys picked up a good guy with you, and man, they must appreciate it.
Well, I can't take all the credit. Milt Reimer and Matt Ham and Carson give me some really good product to bring to market to sell. We're looking at what other people are doing. We listen to our riders. We listen to parents. We hired Mike Brown to get on board and help us grow the whole ambassador vet program, and he's being huge for us. Ronnie Renner. Now we got Tickle. We have Sean Simpson, Blows, Nicoletti. I mean, the names of riders goes on and on and on. And this is such a fun ride to be on. The company's growing daily and daily, and we're hiring more and more people to take care of different projects. And it's exactly like the the KTM program. Yeah. Just every year it gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and I get to meet some really nice people, and I'm really enjoying it.
Yeah, I know it's been good, and it's been a great ride. Obviously, you did a lot of people to thank on that side of things, but you excelled it, and your knowledge in picking up good racers and ambassadors for the sport has done FXR wonders. Andy, we appreciate you coming on. I have more stuff to talk about. Obviously, you had many years in the moto world, and few people would know that. Like, you've been around for a long time, so we appreciate you coming on here, and we'll have to get you back on the show once we get racing the Triple Crown. We'll talk about some of your riders and whatnot. But thanks again, Andy.
Awesome. I look forward to get back into racing too. It's going to be a good summer.
You've got the ride, and we've got the parts to keep you going. Royal Superstores, with massive selections of products no matter what your power sport is. Top brands you've come to trust. Huge selection, amazing prices. Your one-stop shopping destination for the rider in you. Royal Distributing, Canada's power sports leader. Shop online, by phone, or in one of 4 retail locations. Fast coast-to-coast shipping right to your door. Royal Distributing. Eat, sleep, ride.
And here's to another week of social media check-in. Gauldy, look at that. Courtney Lloyd all the way up Prince George, probably just during last year's National there, holding a beer and a Corona. How fitting.
I think if you read the caption of that photo, it says that she got out of the garbage can with Brock Hoyer's gear or something like that. Nicoletti looking all sweaty, drinking a Rockstar. Cheyenne Harmon looks like he's pretty happy there or something.
Yeah, Cheyenne Harmon now on that PRMX team, ripping up Supercross. We'll hopefully see him in Canada. Another rider we need to talk about. Jess Pettis and Wyatt Waddell, they've been ripping up Horsepower Ranch out in BC, looking strong out there.
Yeah, man, those scrubs on Pettis. Oh, my God. Oh, my God.
Yeah, filthy.
Keelan Meston out at Dorva there. We were going to go out there for one of the Nationals. We'll hopefully be back there next year, looking good out there. And then awesome post by Dylan Wright to kind of give us some love heading into the AMO race this weekend.
Yeah, and there's his top competitor there from the past weekend, Tim Tremblay, looking good on that KTM, number 777. Can't miss that guy. And look at this guy. just chugging the Rockstar, just enjoying life out in BC.
Bummer I can't grow some hair for poor Moffin by right now.
There's a Electric 50, and that's Ryan Morris there, and right into the Tyke racing at Ammo. What a great, that was probably your biggest one for Tykes.
24 entries. It was awesome. All brand new racers, all on like P-Dub, CRF type bikes. It was amazing to see. Even my two boys got out there. It was a proud dad moment and a proud AMO moment. It was awesome.
Yeah, it is good to be back, Gauldy. Another episode for us, but it is good to be back actually racing and actually talking about some races. We had some gate drops, and man, when I watched the Pro Moto 37 guys go off, I was so excited to be back. Obviously, I didn't work as hard as you. I kind of got to enjoy the day. You were grinding it out like you normally do, and you didn't get to take in as much as I did. But man, great job again, and lots more to look forward to.
Yeah, we got a lots on tap now. I just announced some more races coming up at Walton and Gopher Dunes again, and then of course, just as soon as we know it, July 25th will be around, and we're going to be heading to Gopher Dunes for round 1 of the Rockstar Energy Triple Crown Series. So hopefully this buzz that we've created here in Ontario showcases more for our regions, because on the MRC side, I've been giving all the information to all of our regional reps and groups to try to get it into the townships or wherever it is to go racing. I mean, if we can do it here in Ontario, I don't understand why we can't do it in the rest of the country. And I know Quebec is actually going to start going racing this coming weekend. So, and Quebec and Ontario had the most cases. So it doesn't make sense on in the political side of things. But man, I'm very proud of it. And if anybody out there needs any information or ideas or anything, now don't mind hitting us up, Ryan at mrcracing.com. I'd be glad to help, and I'm here to help get the sport going. And that's what we did here in Ontario. And couldn't be more proud and happier right now. Feeling very blessed to be a part of it and the people that helped us get into it. And I'm stoked. We going racing, man. Racing's back. It feels normal again.
Yeah, good to be back. And thanks again for joining me, Gauldy. That's another episode in the books. And we'll be back next Wednesday for episode 12 of insideX. Thanks for joining.